I love, love, love comfort food. And it doesn't have to be a specific time of the year or a specific occasion. Just good comfort food. And one of my favorite is chicken pot pie. Today, this is my version of chicken pot pie. And one of the things I like about it the most is I'm using my homemade cream of chicken soup. There are so many recalls and things going on, and the only thing I can say about that is when you can use fresh ingredients, use them. Otherwise, read your labels and do the best you can do each and every time you shop. I talk about all the recalls and things over on another one of my channels, Curated Conversation. So if you want to make sure you know what's going on with your food, head over there. That's Curated Conversation. Okay, so this chicken that I have here that is already roasted, it's leftover chicken. When you're using things like leftover chicken, you see all the seasoning in there. It's already flavorful. And my fresh veggies, when you chop up your fresh veggies, make sure that they are as close in size as possible. This is going to allow them to cook evenly, okay? And over here, I have potatoes. I love potatoes in my pot pie, okay? So you want to make sure, again, they are cut up about the same size as your veggies so that everything cooks together and so that you also have bite-sized pieces when you go to eat everything. And I've got a few other ingredients that'll go in here as well, and we'll get to those as we go along. So the first thing we're going to do is add some butter to our skillet. And I'm going to add that along with a little olive oil. Get that butter melting. Now we're going to go in with all of our hard veggies, our carrots, our celery, and our onion. You want to saute this until it gets a little bit softened and your onions start to become translucent. Now the typical base when you're making chicken pot pie is your flour and your chicken broth, your roux like that, but I'm going to use my homemade cream of chicken soup. It's already flavored. It's already creamy. It's something you can make ahead of time, okay? That recipe is on my website, pamspreps.com, and it's under the recipe box of Flavor Bomb, okay? So we just want to let this cook for a few minutes and let our veggies soften up. Now keep in mind, anytime you're making a pot pie, chicken pot pie, any kind of pot pie, you can customize it, all right? So I have celery in mind. If you don't like celery, leave it out. I am going in now with mushrooms, okay? These are frozen mushrooms. You don't want mushrooms in yours, you can keep it out. But also, if you don't want chicken in it and you just want it to be a vegetarian pot pie, you can add even more mushrooms or a combination of a variety of mushrooms, giving it that meaty flavor and that meaty texture without needing the meat, okay? So I'm gonna let that cook for just a few minutes. Now I'm also gonna go in with my potatoes at this time because they need to soften up some as well. Now I'm gonna go in and season right now. And you don't need a ton of seasonings. You only really need one. And that is my Pam's Prep all-purpose seasoning. Now, my Pam's Prep all-purpose seasoning is already low sodium. However, if you want no salt in yours at all, maybe dietary restrictions or you just don't want the salt, then you need to grab my Pam's Prep no salt seasoning. Flavor Bomb without the salt, okay? This has a little bit of everything in it. I'm gonna go in here with one more herb, but the flavor is amazingly delicious. And now I'm going to go in with just a little bit of my thyme. This is thyme that I actually grew in my garden. But I'm going to show you something. Anytime you're using dried herbs, like this, and you want to activate the natural oils in them. Take it and rub it. You can rub your palms together. You can rub it like this. You can rub it like that before you put it in. That's going to reactivate the oils. And thyme goes so well with chicken. That's why I am putting thyme in there, okay? And wash my hands right quick. And again, with all the recalls and things that we are happening, you can catch all that information over on Curated Conversation. But if you want to grow your own, even just 1 or 2 herbs on your kitchen counter, head on over to my gardening channel. I like to cook with what I garden with. I'm always using herbs from my garden. It's the Scaredy Cat Garden. Head on over there because it's heading to springtime. So I'm just now doing my compost and getting everything prepped and ready. And by the way, I grow everything in containers, all right? So I don't even have a large in-ground garden. Everything is in containers. We're going to let this continue to saute and get nice and fork tender. You don't want it to get cooked completely through. You want it to be fork tender because, again, it's going to cook again when it's in the oven. Now I'm going to add my garlic in here and continue to stir and let it cook until everything is fork tender. And this garlic is actually from my garden as well. I like to use what I grow as well as what I have on hand. So if you have a purple onion, you don't have a white onion, use the purple onion. Use what you have. Okay, be sure to do your fork tender test, okay? You should be able to put a fork in it like that, but it should not break apart. Just like that, but it should not break apart because it still has to cook in the oven, okay? Now I'm going in with my chicken. This smells so delicious. And because the chicken is already cooked, we can now go ahead and go in with my homemade cream of chicken soup. Oh my goodness. Now because I pre-made my homemade cream of chicken soup, it is fairly thick. So we may have to go in with a little bit more chicken broth to loosen it up some, okay? But we don't want it too loose because we want a nice, rich, thick gravy, okay? Go ahead and stir that around. And y'all know me, I don't like to waste anything, so I actually poured a little of my homemade chicken broth into this jar, and I'm rinsing it out, getting all of my cream of chicken soup out of here. All homemade, okay? So we're going to stir this. Now we're going to give this a chance to cook and blend all the flavors together. Maybe about 5 minutes. Then we'll be ready for the next part. See how nice and thick and rich this is looking? Delicious. Now, no pot pie is delicious without these little green peas. And these are frozen, so they don't need to cook. They need to just warm up a little bit. So we're putting them in now. So just go ahead and stir those in. And as you can see, our gravy from the homemade cream of chicken soup has thickened up. Delicious. Now, right now, before we do anything else, we need to give it a taste. Because once we get our crust on here, we can't taste it anymore until it's done. Okay? It looks delicious and it smells even more amazing. I'm just going to take a little bit right here and taste it. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely amazingly delicious. And you can taste my Pam's Prep all-purpose seasoning going in. Now I'm going to add a little bit more, but I don't want to add any more salt. None at all. So I'm going in with my no salt seasoning. My goodness. And for those of you all who want to know, my no salt is the exact same thing as my classic without the salt. This has low sodium. This has none. So you have the exact same flavor. Just depends on your preference. Okay, let's stir that in really good. Oh my goodness. If you guys could smell this. So now, I'm going to cut the heat. And I'm going to move it off of the heat so that we can get our crust prepared. So because this is all about being quick and easy, we are not actually going to make any type of biscuit dough for this recipe, okay? I'm going to show you how we're going to get our topping in just one moment, but because our topping has layers of butter, we will need to make sure we are already ready for it so that that butter can stay cold. So right now, if you're making this along with me, make sure your oven is preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, I am just making a simple egg wash, a lightly beaten egg with just a tad bit of water. Make sure that this is combined together until that egg is nice and frothy. And for an egg wash, your egg should be nice and frothy after you've beaten it well. It should look like that, okay? So we're gonna set this aside. All right, let's get our filling into our baking dish. You wanna do all this first before you prepare your topping, your crust. Now, I've had a lot of people asking me, can I share more vegetarian recipes and even vegan recipes? Well, personally, I'm not vegetarian and I'm not vegan. However, I have a very dear friend of mine. If you all saw me make those 8 blankets on my Pam's POV channel, during the holiday time, I made 8 whole crochet blankets in just a few weeks. And I'm not a crocheter. I had only made 2 other items before that in my life, but a dear friend of mine, and her name is Ola Jo the Crocheting Sailor. She has a channel. A couple of years ago, she was challenged with a few things in her life that ended up, as a result of those things, her needing to be 100% vegetarian. So she has actually inspired me and encouraged me to share my recipes with a vegetarian option. So for this, leave out the chicken and switch the chicken broth to vegetarian broth, or veggie broth, not vegetarian broth, but veggie broth. Everything else in here is pretty much vegetarian, okay? So this is how you can create a vegetarian meal out of this. And I will be sharing that more and more as she continues to encourage me to have more vegetables in my own diet. So you guys visit her, thank her for encouraging me to share the vegetarian side of my recipes with you all. Her channel name is Ola Jo the Crocheting Sailor, and I will leave that link at the end of this video and in the description as well. So let's get ready to make our crust. So what I am actually using is puff pastry. And this is why you need to have it nice and cold. So we want to work pretty fast here. And I don't want much flour on there, but I like to kind of roll mine out just a little bit to make it nice and flat and make sure it fits. So got that flour down. Make sure that your oven is on 425 degrees. We are simply just gonna flatten this out a little bit. It's okay if it overlaps, that's a good thing. You can pinch those edges out. But please work quickly on this. Don't want much flour because we're not trying to have any extra flour in our dish. Okay, that's good enough. Now we're just going to simply take this and we're going to put it over the top. Move this in so I can move my dish back over some. Okay. Perfect, and that's why I rolled it out a little bit. Now you just want to pinch it down a little bit. You can crimp it any way you want. That's just extra crust, and that's the good stuff. So I'm just really just pushing it down. I am not doing anything fancy. I know it kind of looks like it's a pattern, but I am really just pushing this down. And you want to do this so that it's nice and tight. Okay? Okay. Now we are going to brush it with our egg wash again. This is going to give it that nice golden brown color. All right? Make sure when you're doing this, you work fast. We need that butter to stay cold, okay? And get your edges. Make sure to get your edges all through this as well. That egg wash provides that nice golden brown color we're looking for. And now we need to go ahead and vent it, okay? So that it won't ooze out all over the sides. You can vent it any way you want. I just like to put a few X's here and there, okay? May not look like much, but that little X will help keep it from exploding. Let that steam escape. I am going to put this on a baking tray, and I'm going to line the baking tray with parchment paper. That way, if it does run over, it runs over on the baking tray, and then I don't have to clean the baking tray because the baking tray will have parchment paper on it too. Like I tell people, I love to cook, not necessarily clean. I clean because I have to, okay? Okay, and this is what it pretty much should look like going into the oven. Now we're gonna bake this until the top is nice and golden brown because, well, everything else is already cooked.
Believe it or not, the pot pie dates back to the Roman Empire. They were called autocracy and were actually a status symbol at banquets. Fast forward to the 16th century England, these meat pies became a staple of the gentry, sometimes having a living surprise inside, like birds flying out of the crust. Thankfully, by the time the recipe crossed the Atlantic, it evolved into the cozy, vegetable-packed dish we love today. In the 1950s, it became the ultimate freezer aisle hero, but we're doing things a little differently at Cooking at Pam's Place. We're taking that centuries-old tradition, ditching the bottom crust for a casserole twist and making it fresh.
Let me know in the comments, guys, if you guys want the vegetarian version of it. Oh my goodness. Delicious, delicious, delicious. Let me get all my filling. Look at how rich and thick the filling is. And that crust is golden brown all over. Look at that. Okay, just a couple of things before we do our taste test. Amazing, amazing, amazing. As I mentioned before, so many recalls, so many things going on. Please, if you want to stay up to date and know what's going on with your food, it's fresh foods, it's whole foods, it's processed foods, it's snacks, it's drinks, it's water, it's a lot of things. I am covering everything over on my other channel. It used to be called Pam's Pop-Ups. It is now, I changed the name, called Curated Conversation, because that's what I'm doing. I'm curating this information so that you don't have to. I'm providing you with the lot numbers, the dates, what's wrong with it, what it has, so that you don't have to. And I'm trying to keep you up to date day by day. As soon as I get the information, I'm bringing it to you. So make sure you're subscribed and turn that notification bell on so that your family can stay safe, your pantry can stay safe, because these recalls are happening fast, okay? And if you want to grow your own, check out my gardening channel at the Scaredy Cat Gardener on YouTube, where a lot of my herbs come from, my onions and things like that I am growing. It's the beginning of the season, so you'll see how I do everything, and I'm growing strictly in containers, okay? So if you don't have a lot of space, check out the Scaredy Cat Gardener. And last but not least, show my friend Ola Jo, the crocheting sailor, a little bit of love, because if it wasn't for her, I would not be sharing the vegetarian version of my recipes, or the vegan whenever I can. Now, I'm not saying every recipe I will have a vegetarian or a vegan version of it, but those that I can, I surely am. She has encouraged me to eat that way more and do that. So she said, you know, your recipes are great, we love them, but can you incorporate the vegetarian part of it, okay? So also on my website, you will find the full recipe for this and everything else, pamspreps.com. And in those recipes, I will now include what you need to do, or what you can do to make it vegetarian and sometimes vegan. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan, I might get it wrong sometimes, but I will do my best. So go over there, subscribe to her channel, show her some love, and make sure you tell her that Pam sent you, okay? It's free to subscribe. Show her some support, especially for my vegan and my vegetarian family, all right? So without further ado, we have to taste this. Oh my goodness, had to do a little announcement. You know I have to have some of this crust. Woo, and this crust is still crispy. Oh my goodness. We get a double one on that one. It's creamy. It's rich. All natural ingredients. I made the cream of chicken soup myself. That recipe is over there, pamspreps.com. Chopped up all fresh veggies, okay? And if you want to, feel free to make your own pie crust as well. Oh my goodness. You can also grab your spices over there, pamspreps.com. And I will see you all next time. The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Bye-bye.